the U.S. military versus the Iranian military really just is not that big of a threat. So, yeah, let's just talk about it. All right, here we go. All right, boom. Iran prepares nuclear counterproposal as U.S. considers limited military strikes. This is The Guardian. All right, this is what they're reporting on it, and then we're going to watch a video about it because that's how I do things here. Okay, Iran's foreign minister says he expects to have a draft counterproposal ready within days after nuclear talks with the U.S. this week, while Donald Trump said he was considering limited military strikes. Listen, we struck you when we thought you had when we thought that you had nuclear weapons. We went ahead and blew that shit up. Now that you're going to start rebuilding that, we're going to blow that shit up too. I don't know what makes you think that's not going to happen. We're going to start getting pixels deleted out of your sky, and then there's going to be buildings deleted out of your ground. Hey, Stormy, what's up? U.S. President has ordered a massive buildup of naval forces in the Middle East, including repositioning aircraft carriers and other warships, leading to fears of an imminent war, but it is not clear if the military movements are intended as an intimidation tactic or to put pressure on Iran to make concessions on its nuclear program. Listen, we're going to stop their nuclear program one way or another. We're going to give them the opportunity to do it themselves, but I don't think it's going to work. 2 U.S. officials told Reuters that U.S. military planning had reached an advanced stage, while options including targeting individuals as part of an attack and even pursuing leadership change in Tehran. So we've got multiple ways that we can do this. This shouldn't really be a surprise to anybody. On Thursday, Trump gave Tehran a deadline of 10 to 15 days to make a deal to resolve their long-standing nuclear dispute or face, quote-unquote, really bad things. Really bad. They're going to be tremendously bad for you and your health. Asked on Friday if he was considering a limited strike to pressure Iran into a deal, Trump told reporters at the White House, quote, "I guess I can say I am considering it." I'm working on my Trump voice. I'm not sure how it's coming across. Asked later about Iran, Trump added, "They better negotiate a fair deal." Tehran began setting up its nuclear program after Trump, during his first term as president, excited and internationally backed deal that... Sorry, reading's a little bit difficult for me because I wear glasses and I have to take them off in order for my camera to fucking read the fact that I'm blinking. So I have to focus a minute. Emboldened by Trump's support for aggressive action, Israel then led to 12-day war against Iran in June 2025. Whilst the U.S. joined, although the campaign had a questionable impact on Tehran's long-term nuclear ambitions. So we blew up a lot of their major sites, but that doesn't necessarily mean we killed their program entirely. We just killed the store that they had at that point. Okay, all right, hold on now. I don't want to say I'm like Harry Potter. That's messed up. And it's not like they're bad. I just have a small stigmatism, and I have to focus because I stare at a freaking computer screen all day. Like, even during my real world work, I stare at a computer screen all day, and that's really what led to me needing glasses. Speaking on U.S. cable news network MS Now, because NBC fucking dropped them. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Arghachi, I don't know, some terrorist name, said there was no military solution to Iran's nuclear program. This has been tested last year. They were huge attacks on our facilities. They killed and assassinated our scientists, but they couldn't kill our nuclear program. That guy held indirect discussions in Geneva this week that Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner, and said that that the sides had reached an understanding on main quote-unquote guiding principles. but that did not mean a deal was imminent. So they're working on it, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, long story short, Iran is preparing for war with the United States, and apparently the United States is preparing for a war with them too. This is Live Now from Fox on YouTube. I cover these guys all the time. I've heard that other people have issues with covering Fox, but I've never gotten a copyright claim from it. Anyway, if this becomes a video on my channel, then definitely I will link them in the description. But they are saying that Iran is, quote, preparing for war with the U.S., and opposition officials are warning. Let's find out what they have to say.
Iran are possible, even as Iran's top diplomat says Tehran expects to have a proposed deal with the U.S. ready in the next few days. Trump was asked about potential limited military action amid those negotiations.
President, are you considering a limited military strike?
I guess I could say I am considering that.
On Friday,
Ooh, yep, limited military strike. That means we're going to go in there and we're going to rip their leader out of his bed. Watch.
Iran's foreign minister
You wait, it's going to happen.
said in a TV interview that his country was planning to finalize a draft deal in, quote, the next 2 to 3 days to send over to Washington. And of course, just days ago, the U.S. and Iran held a second round of indirect talks in Geneva on Iran's nuclear program with no resolution reached as far as we know. At the same time, a prominent Iranian opposition figure says Iran is, quote, preparing for war as it rebuilds nuclear sites damaged by the U.S. during the strikes last.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough, guy. I don't know if you've seen the U.S. military positioning around Iran right now, but they are completely surrounded. And also, Stormy, I feel like I'm pretty sure that I fixed the AI moderation problem that we were having, so you shouldn't be getting policed on your speech anymore.
Last year. Ali Reza Jafarzadeh, the deputy director of the Washington office of the National Council on the Resistance of Iran, says newer satellite images show the regime has accelerated efforts to restore its uranium enrichment abilities. The satellite images released by Earth Intelligence Monitor Planet Labs show activity underway at one, possibly two of those sites hit during Operation Midnight Hammer. Again, a lot to discuss here as always, and I do want to bring in a great friend of the show. We do have Mark Chandler, of course, the Director of Government Relations.
I don't know if... So the sheer size of these aircraft carriers is fucking mind-blowing. They are like... I don't know how to put this. They're easily 100 feet fucking tall, right? They're 3 football fields fucking long at least, right? Like these ships are fucking massive. They are a legitimate floating fortress, right? Like just because they have all of the aircrafts on top, that's not everything that they have. Most of them also have helicopters. Most of them have like a specific, like a Poseidon plane that they can send out that is a radar system that detects submarines. They have a naval arsenal that they can deploy out of like the back end of this fucking aircraft carrier. It really is a floating fortress. And so when you add destroyers around it, it's indestructible.
At Coastal Carolina University and professor of practice, also a former senior defense intelligence official. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
You're quite welcome, Josh, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, first off, I wanted to start by talking about the comments there by Ali Reza Jafarzadeh. He is a common guest here on Live Now from Fox. Do you agree that it appears Iran is, quote-unquote, preparing for war?
Iran's going to do the best they can, and boy, are they going to learn.
Well, I would say that, Josh, and I would agree with him. One thing, though, is this is just one of the indicators that Iran...
All right, look, this is my hot take on it. If you still live in Iran, if you still live in Palestine, if you still live in Iraq, and you are still living under the oppressive terrorist regime, you are complicit at this point in their actions because you have not done what it takes to get your family the fuck out of there. And as far as I'm concerned, you can die with them. I don't care.
Is undertaking to prepare. So if we go back to Operation Midnight Hammer, and the U.S. intelligence community is going to have this in great detail.
Like, it'd be one thing if these terrorist organizations just took over within the last 10 years, right? Of their no, they've been running these countries for fucking decades, and the people that are there keep voting for it. call it fraud, call it whatever you want to. But if you still live there, then you obviously don't care enough to leave.
We know we set the Iranian program back significantly. We didn't destroy it. When I talk about destroying it, I'm talking about in a military sense of the phrase.
Damn straight bunker buster.
Destroying something completely. What was left, we're not sure. What was completely damaged, we're not 100% sure. So what Iran is doing right now is trying to salvage everything it can from its weapons development program. And it's going to try to do that in advance of any U.S. strikes. So what you see is, as an indication that Iran believes we are going to strike, they're trying to grab everything they can and move it to some other facilities, trying to protect what's left of.
They're trying, but we're watching them do all of this. We're going to adjust our targets accordingly.
That program that they have, because as they continue it, which is their objective, they don't want to have to go back and try to rebuild everything they have. So that's just one of the indicators. But if I can, there are some other indicators that have been taking place that we need to pay attention to. You know, Iran has held 2 naval exercises with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy in the Straits of Hormuz, in the Persian Gulf. So those are.
Go, I'd hate to be the guy that's got to park his plane out here on the corner.
Very provocative in the nature. They also combined one earlier this week with the Navy. Don't forget.
See right here, that thing right there. Those are radar planes. Those are used to detect like submarines and shit.
They've shut down the Straits of Hormuz for just a few hours. To threaten that they can do it. They've harassed civilian shipping. They sent a drone against the USS Lincoln a couple of weeks ago. All of those are indicators that Iran is preparing for combat. I would call those rehearsals of what.
Oh yeah, dude, American imperialism, that is what we are all about over here on this channel, let me tell you.
What they would.
And I am not apologetic about it. Listen, the world is going to be a one world government at some point, and it better be an American one.
Like to try to do, should we go there. Now, the biggest indicator, and I have seen some.
We have used the gun. Are you kidding me right now? Dude, between Trump's strikes on Iran and us taking Nicolas Maduro, I feel like we're not just brandishing the gun. I feel like we're using the gun.
Classified imagery come out about this is what Iran is doing with its missile force. You know, they're repositioning some of the missiles, and they've got between 1,000 and 2,000 missiles of different ranges that they can use. So they're repositioning those. They're getting them ready. They've done some test firing of those missiles just as kind of messaging. So all of those indicators add up to Iran is getting ready for a confrontation.
And Mark, we know that President Trump said just about 2 days ago now aboard Air Force One that he was giving Iran 10 to 15 days to agree to a deal. Does that
I feel like he's being generous. I'm just saying.
Deadline mean
Call him generous Golden Trump.
anything to Iran, but also does it mean that the U.S. wouldn't carry out any sort of even limited strike before 10 to 15 days from now?
Well, I think if we look at President Trump's statements and his behavior, I think he will continue this established pattern of deterrence that he has set. You know, you and I have talked several times about the loss of U.S. deterrence in the last administration. I think we've reestablished that. So Iran definitely needs to pay attention to this.
Well, yeah, that's because the world realizes that we just put a cadaver up as president for fucking 4 years. But now they're coming out that Biden died in 2019, which is weird. So who was president?
And I believe that 10 to 15 day deadline is absolutely real. Now, will it make Iran do anything? That's going to be tough to see. I think what we're seeing is Iran behaving the way it has for the last 47 years. But I don't think you're likely to see Iran perhaps stop their nuclear weapons program. Matter of fact, they've said that's off the table. It's kind of cut down on their missile arsenal, stop killing its people, or completely do any of those things we've asked them to do.
The fact that Iran is trying to hide their current stores of nuclear nuclear enhanced uranium and other various tools and equipment and shit. The fact that they're trying to hide that and the US government's coming out on live television and just showing photos, hey, so they're trying to hide things. That's got to be terrifying for them.
What we are seeing is that Iran will stall. They're banking on President Trump behaving the way several administrations have for the last 40 years. And that's, in other words, make threats, do some limited strikes that don't really go out.
Oh, you haven't heard, Stormy. Yeah, no, you will only be as successful as the Lord God Moloch will allow you to be.
After and dismantle.
And if you sacrifice more children, the more successful you will be. That's how that it works.
A lot of what has been trying to be negotiated and then back off. So I think you're looking at that. So where I see a deadline here, Josh, and talking about timing, with the buildup that we have lost what we call strategic surprise. Iran knows we are prepared to act. But what we're looking at here is we need the element of tactical surprise. So, yeah, we could see attacks in 10 or 15 days. We could see them in 9 or 11. You know, that last bit of tactical surprise is what we really need to go for.
I mean, we could see them tomorrow. You know, we could wake up, hey, so Khomeini is now our prisoner, and it took us less time than it took us in Venezuela.
If I can take you back to June of last year, you will recall that President Trump gave a 60-day deadline. On the 61st day, Israel started conducting its 12-day campaign against Iran. So I think you can look at that, take him on his word, and then let's look at an element of surprise within just a few days of that deadline that he's established.
On that same note, what is...
I don't know. I'm being told that men can have babies now, so it would stand to reason that men can have abortions and should have a say-so in it.
Is it that you would say is kind of the red line that the U.S. is not even remotely willing to negotiate on in the deal? I imagine it has to be nuclear weapons of any kind.
Yeah, you know, Josh, I really wish I was sitting back up in the rooms up there and in some of the National Security Council meetings. But when I want to step back just a little bit and what we should be looking at, as I mentioned, Iran has had 47 years of this rogue behavior. You know, they pushed the United States up to many red lines before, and we have never really followed through. Yes, we.
That's right. Definitely follow my channel for more updates on Stormy's journey to get pregnant.
Conducted a lot of strikes, but never really stopped this rogue regime from all the destabilizing factors that it's conducted over the last 47 years. So I wrote a paper earlier this week for my Castle website, and what I talked about is what looks like a good deal. You know, and that good deal is characterized by absolutely...
Oh, yeah, okay, so before we move on and I get distracted, this is what I was talking about. So this here is Saudi Arabia, Israel, Yemen, Iran, right? So the U.S. has ships here, all along here. You can't see it, but in the Indian Ocean down here, there's also U.S. Navy. They're just kind of doing their own thing, collecting tankers and shit. With a U.S. aircraft carrier right here, meaning this whole area here, including our allies in Israel, are completely boxing in Iran, and there's nothing they can fucking do about it. Every single waterway is controlled by the United States Navy right now.
No Iranian nuclear weapons.
If they want to try and gear up for war with the U.S., they're going to lose, and this is just posturing for the media. They're not going to do a goddamn thing.
Capability. No path to get to that capability. And any deal short of that is kind of JCPOA number 2. It's kind of a revisit of the Obama administration, which the JCPOA did not stop the Iranian nuclear weapons program. It just delayed it. So anything like that is going to be a continuation of that. And I don't think this administration wants to see that. I need to, when I say no nuclear weapons, if I can just point out that they can have no enrichment. There's been a lot of talk about Iran reducing some of its enrichment, turning some over.
Well, so, Stormy, that's part of the reason why a lot of people think Trump wants Greenland, which, to be fair, it's probably definitely is. And I think you were part of my stream with that. Greenland is trying to talk with Canada to start strengthening its economic and social ties with them, because they're going to try and do their own thing and grow their own economy and be their own country. But the thing is, Canada's about to become part of the United States anyway, so it's going to be Trump's 5D chess move. In order to get Greenland, we're going to take over Canada. Okay? Just trust me, that's how it's going to work. Canada is going to break apart, they're going to become part of the United States, and then we're going to take over Greenland because Greenland had all of their assets tied up with Canada. That's how it's going to work, and it's going to take 4 years.
Iran had at least enough.
But yeah, no. So as the Earth warms, it's it creates that passage. So the fact that Greenland is incredibly close to Moscow is a problem for the United States, given that a lot of Russia's missile sites are in Western Russia, where like Moscow and St. Petersburg and like where it meets up with Europe. Anyway,
Enriched uranium within 3 weeks of being bomb material for 6 to 10 nuclear bombs last June. Now, we damaged that. We don't know how much we actually destroyed of that, but that's at the 60% level. There is no country on Earth
ooh, look at it, the black Dorito.
that has enriched uranium
There it is.
beyond
Look at that sexy.
3.5 to 5% enrichment for anything other than peaceful purposes. So in other words, if they're saying they want peaceful nuclear and uranium enrichment, they need to stop at 3.5%. They do not need what they have in the levels.
They do. Like somewhere between 3 and 5% is what you need for nuclear power. Anything past that is it can only be going toward becoming a nuclear weapon. There's no reason to enrich it past that. Once you get to 60, you're basically done with about 90% of the work, apparently, from what I understand.
Of inventory that they have. So anything short of that, that's where I would say that's the red line. We've got to stop it. Just real quick, throw in. We need to reduce the missile program. They have more missiles than they absolutely need for defensive purposes, and let's not.
Yep, blow it all up. Fuck it. I mean, dude, it's a desert anyway. Screw it.
What kind of kicked off this latest round, and that's the slaughter of thousands of Iranian citizens. So let's maybe reset the map a little bit in this regime.
Also want to get kind of your take, because off the top we talked about the comment.
Look, Israel is advanced enough to put missiles inside people's windows and blow up only that room. I feel like the U.S. can do the same thing.
It's from Ali Farzadeh, who is an Iranian opposition official. Now, I also wanted to get your take on a U.S. official, because we have former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo under President Trump, who said just a few days ago that it appears, based on what he's seeing, that Iran is this time ready to go down with the ship. What do you make of
Then let him go down with the ship, man. What are we talking about?
that statement? Is that true based on your analysis and your experience?
Well, I really like and respect Secretary Pompeo. I think he has some great insight. You know, he was a great Secretary of State. When I look at how the Iranian regime is playing this out, yes, there's some differences right now. You know, they are pushing the limits with President Trump at this time. You know, they're I believe, taking on the persona that
They're really trying. They're trying to figure out just how much they can push this man, and they're finding out it's not a whole lot.
maybe they can negotiate their way out of this like they have, you know, over the past several decades, you know, using the same tactics. But I think they're going to run out of time in stalling. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stall. We see a lot of bluster coming out. That's their intimidation. That's how they work things. That's messaging for the region. That's messaging for the international community. But it's also messaging for their core leadership. Those fanatical Ayatollahs who are right there leading the governments for the IRGC, they're loyalists right there. So they want to do that, continue to push back on the great Satan. Now, will that lead to a different action? Will their intimidation work this time? And that's where I think Secretary Pompeo is starting to look.
No, I don't think it is going to work. I don't know if you know this, but we're giving Army infantrymen small drones that blow up.
Look at that and what he's talking about, because
Like all of them. They're all getting a drone.
if this regime feels that
Also, the U.S. has laser beams, so I'm sorry, Sand People. There's nothing you can do.
they are threatened, and President Trump will take actions and what I call climb up an escalatory ladder from limited strikes to widespread strikes to conducting a widespread campaign, I think this regime will feel threatened, and they're going to act like a caged animal or an animal kind of backed in. And that's where they're going to strike out. If they have no choice but to fail, I think you're going to see an overwhelming and significant response from this regime. And I think that's really what Secretary Pompeo is characterizing as that's a last-ditch effort.
Boy.
Mark Chandler, thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to join us, helping to break it down. Anything else you want to add about any of this? Again, we covered a lot of ground, but there's a lot more ground to cover. What do you want to add before I let you go?
Well, Josh, I would just like to say, I would prefer a diplomatic solution. I think everyone would. But simultaneously, while we prepare for that, we have to prepare for military action. We need some objectives. So I think in the next few days, we need to look at the messaging. What messaging is the U.S. sending? Will President Trump address this and try to explain to the American people our interest in the region and in the upcoming State of the Union address? Or will we start to message it from
What the fuck you mean our interest in the region? It's oil. It's 100% oil, and Trump doesn't even try and hide that. What?
Washington in that regard?
Now, I think we're about to wash our hands of that region, but I feel like controlling the oil is still good because we can bleed China dry.
Iran has been not just a thorn in our side, but a destabilizing factor for our international relations in the Middle East for 47 years. They are responsible for killing thousands of American citizens. Yes. They're responsible for economic challenges for our allies and even us. So I think we need to start messaging that. Will Iran capitulate? That would be unexpected, but that could put everything. All Iran has to do is simply agree to the terms, and everything.
What is that thing that Ralphie May said? God rest his soul. What he said, it's black, white, and brown versus a new kind of brown, right? Like, the Muslim is gonna get you. The Muslim is gonna get you.
And so we'll look at that. But as we build up forces, I think you need to see where the USS Ford starts to get in the Eastern Mediterranean and any additional assets that we can get in the area. And then we're on the precipice of chaos. Does Iran make an action that it miscalculates a U.S. response? That could, I'm not worried about the U.S. military professionalism. I'm worried about a stupid Iranian action that kicks this into an unintended consequence at that point. We're in a precarious situation right now, so we need to watch for some of those factors as the next few days play out.
I hope it does kick off, because like that, man, nobody will give a fuck about Ukraine anymore.
All right, Mark Chandler, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and breaking it down. We appreciate it.
Josh, you're
Look, man, I think failing countries should be allowed to fail.
Quite welcome. Hope I helped a little bit today. Have a good rest of your day.
You always do. Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. All of the links for all of my things and all of the videos will be posted in my descriptions. Definitely subscribe to my channel if you're watching the videos. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.